How you doing? I thought I would try out some OBS shit because obviously that is something I haven't done before. So I have no idea if this thing is live. So let me see. Let's check out the chat here. Are you seeing all this stuff? Gain up. Am I coming through too low or what? Let me hear about that. Yes, that was actually the new synthesizer. I was actually fucking around with that live. So, sort of a little live performance there before the show. Wasn't really that great, but, well, that's the way it is. Yeah, everyone's saying that it's live here, I guess. So, how's the volume? How's the volume compared to the other stuff? That's also interesting. Quiet. Interesting. All right, well, I've got the fucking max volume here. If I turn it up more, I probably... How's that? Am I breaking up now, or... To me, this sounds like I'm breaking up. Right, okay, so let's turn, this is breaking up for me. Right, so someone's saying that the radio voice was low. That makes sense, because that fucking effect steals some volume. But I hope the other stuff is good. Yeah, breaking up. That's what I figured. Goody. Yeah, all right. So I figured I'd just try some stuff here. I set up a little OBS thingy here where I could go from this thing. Like you saw, you got the standby ticker in the beginning there, and then we have this thing, and you can switch to another thing like that. Nice to have. And got my little window here if I want to watch a video. Got a little Steve Shives video here if I wanted to do something with that. Who wouldn't want to lay into Steve Shives, right? And, you know, go to another background if I figured that looked better. Yeah, so things like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of divided, so I figured I'd try it out and ask you guys what you think. To me, it's like, yeah, it looks nice, but I'm not sure it's always good to go with OBS because there is a good thing about Google Hangouts, and that is that when people are talking, you see their image, and so you know who's actually talking all the time, and that can be a very good thing when you're trying to keep track of a discussion, right? So there are some trade-offs, and I figured I'd just ask you guys, right? And so, you know, if you have any comments, just post them or leave them in the comments or whatever about that, because I'd really like to hear what you think. Do you like OBS or do you like Hangouts? Basically, is the main question here. So let me hear what you think about that. Let's see here. Okay. Harlequin. Some people didn't like me and flagged me a bunch, so now I'm done with Twitter. Wow, you got kicked off Twitter? Really? You got to tell me about that. Jason says OBS is cool once you get a handle on it. Yeah, it is a lot more to keep track of while you're talking. So that's also like a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, because it could steal your attention and make you not pay attention to the words that are being spoken. So there's that, right? OBS is good when going solo. Ryan Rawlings says, yeah, I guess that that's probably something I would definitely agree with. It's kind of nice this way, when there is no other person to keep track of, right? So when you have a bunch of people, to me it's always like hard to keep track of who's saying what, especially if you don't actually know all the people. If it's just new people, I don't know. RY not, what the hell is that name? RYI no. Okay, I can't pronounce that. I enjoy OBS, therefore you can do. There's a lot you can do with it. Jeff put up a few demos on it. Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it certainly is the default way to do your own little broadcasts. And it can certainly look nice. It's nice to be able to have this thing. You got your moving background going on here, and I can switch, bam, like, there we go, got another thing going. So that's nice. Like I said, it's a lot of pros and cons, and the pros are obviously that it looks nice. The cons are that you have to pay attention, and you have to devote some attention to that while you're trying to keep up with the conversation if you have more than one person there, and obviously that can be to your detriment. Harlequin says you can hit me up on Hangouts. Well, not if you're not on Twitter. What happened? Did I miss a message from you? Right. Okay. Okie dokie. Scene switch thingy is epic. Get a stream pad. Get a stream. What is a stream pad? I think Mr. Shives is right about everything. I'm also a flaming homosexual. Well, I don't think that has anything to do with Steve Shives, though. For all the horrible things he is, and not that it's horrible to be a homosexual. I don't think he is, but yeah. Okay. I don't know. Harlequin, you're having some problems replying. Did you get kicked off of Twitter or not? I don't get it. Creamy Seepage can message you. I guess you got kicked off, huh? Jesus. Everyone's getting kicked off. It's unbelievable. There will be no one left. What is that? The saying, like, first they came for this and then they came for that, and by the time they came for me, there was no one left. Well, we're getting there. Hello. Yeah. All right, let's just try this video thing. I mean, this is just some stupid Steve Shives video. See if that works. All right. See if you. Let me know if you can hear this. Let's play this fucking shit. Okay, so you should have heard a stupid intro with a fucking tuba by now. Who has a fucking tuba in their intro? So let me know if you heard that.
Hey folks, welcome to The Ramble. There have been a few more developments regarding the sexual harassment and abuse allegations made against Lawrence Krauss. So I'm going to make another video talking about it, because one of the problems in the atheist and skeptical community is Many people have known about problems like this all along, and nobody has wanted to talk about it.
I know. I mean, everyone knows you're a sexual harasser, right? We all know that. And obviously, everyone who says that should be believed, right? That's pretty much what you're saying. Okay.
And God damn it, I would love to see that come to an end, because the problems are never going to be solved or even meaningfully addressed until we get over ourselves and start talking about these problems as though they were real, instead of pretending, as many people in the community would still like to do, that these are just fringe concerns, that it's just a few bad apples, and that it's not worthy of serious, sustained attention.
Okay, so everyone's a bad apple. Isn't that kind of the anti-definition of a bad apple then? This guy, you know. All right, let's just, first of all, let's check out, you can hear everything, right? How's the volume? Am I coming out the same volume as he is, or how's that working out? Leave Lawrence Krauss alone. Dirty Dance. That's a good name. When is Steve Shives not stupid? Yeah, there's that, obviously. So how about the volume? Did I come out the same volume or what? Someone saying perfect? That's good. I hope he was talking about my sound. Someone else saying that sounds great. All right. Well, let's keep going. See how this video turns out.
To hell with that.
To hell with it.
The first development was that Lawrence Krauss last week released his official response to all of these charges. It's a 9-page document that he linked to on his Twitter account, and you can go find it and read it yourself if you are of a mind. It boils
if you are of a mind to actually read the defense. Why would we need to read the defense? The accusations have been made, therefore you are guilty as charged. Right? That's what you're saying, right?
Boils down to blame BuzzFeed, cry victim, blame BuzzFeed not only for, as Krauss says, libeling him, but also mischaracterizing and demeaning and insulting.
BuzzFeed demeaning and insulting? No, that couldn't happen.
The integrity and besmirching the honor of the atheist community.
The atheist community. There is no such thing. That thing ended like fucking 6 years ago. What are you talking about? There are atheists, sure. But there's no atheist community. Not even the amazing atheists. The amazing atheist uses that name anymore. Go figure.
Because it's certainly not a den of sexism and other forms of intolerance and a haven for harassers and abusers. That would just be preposterous. How dare BuzzFeed say what many people in the atheist community have been saying for years. The American Humanist Association announced last week, on Friday actually, that it was cutting all of its ties with Lawrence Krauss.
And Lawrence Krauss cared how much? Did he cry?
As a result of these allegations. And the FFRF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, made a similar announcement as well, saying that they were removing Krauss from their honorary board as a result of this. And even CFI / the Richard Dawkins Foundation announced that they were suspending their association with Krauss. They didn't go quite as far as the AHA or FFRF did.
Get to the fucking
make
point.
A definitive statement, but they said, well, we're suspending Krauss until we can investigate. I guess, what does investigate mean?
What does investigate mean? Yeah. How about that? How about looking into the facts? How about finding out the truth? You ever hear about that, you fuckhead?
The article a few more times and give it a few more weeks to see if it blows over, and then they can quietly sneak Krauss back in, as many of us expect.
Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist now. Okay.
Expect is going to happen. But I want to focus on the AHA response, because I think it has been the best so far of any of the major organizations in the atheist community.
The atheist community trademark.
And just to put my cards on the table, I am a member of the American Humanist Association. Actions like this make me very happy and open and proud to be a supporter of the AHA. The AHA board has voted to, and this is from their statement on their website, the AHA board has voted to remove Lawrence Krauss from the pool of potential speakers, right?
What even is this fucking organization? Anyone know? I've never heard of it.
Or presenters. That's probably the most important part of the statement, and I'll get back to that in a second. They have also placed Krauss's 2015 Humanist of the Year award in administrative review.
Is that like that thing with, what's his name? The fucking MMA player? Fighter. MMA fighter. McGregor, right? Is he going to go on a rampage? Fuck it.
While they come up with a formal process to make a determination as to what to do permanently with that, if they revoke the award from him or not. And hopefully that is what will happen, because he does not, a man like Lawrence Krauss does not deserve a Humanist of the Year award.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve Humanist of the... What? Who does? I mean, yeah, sure, he's just one of the topmost scientists in the world, and he hasn't been proven guilty of anything. So, yeah, let's just fucking convict him because of rumors. Why not?
And they will also improve the Humanist of the Year award selection process.
Yeah, I can just imagine how they'll do that. They will only select women because women are always innocent, right? That's basically what you're going to come up with here, right?
To have a more in-depth inquiry into potential candidates' personal ethics, reputations, and actions to ensure they are in accordance.
Reputations, okay. You don't see anything wrong with this? Well, of course you don't. You're sitting there fucking applauding and whacking off at the same time. Too bad we can't. Well, actually, good that we can't see your hand.
With humanist values as AHA states them. And then they will also create new policy to formalize and stipulate what their actions will be in circumstances like this in the future. All of it is very good. The most important element of it, though, as I said, is their decision to remove Krauss from their pool of potential speakers, writers, or presenters. In other words,
let's just remove one of the foremost scientists in the world, and our society will be better for that? Huh? Idiots.
That means we're not going to use him anymore. We're not going to publish him. We're not going to promote his work. We're not going to give him our platform or use our platform to amplify his work and his message.
Amplify his work? You think maybe his work speaks for itself? You think maybe he doesn't need that fucking organization's support to get his work out there? Oh, my God.
We are not going to send him out to represent us or to stand.
I'm sure he's crying himself to sleep.
And for humanist values in the name of our association, we are not going to have anything to do with him in the future. That is the most important thing, and the thing that I wish every skeptical atheist organization and conference and podcast host and etc.
You'd wish them all to die, wouldn't you?
etc. would come out and say, we're doing that from now on, and it's because of these sexual harassment and abuse allegations that have...
Allegations. Hello? You said it yourself. He's not been proven guilty of anything, so people get accused of shit all the time. We don't actually condemn people before they've been proven guilty in a court of law.
Have been made against Krauss by so many credible, believable people.
Credible. You know what credible, believable people are? They're actors, okay? Not all of them, but actors certainly are believable if they're Oscar worthy. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. The only thing that means anything is what you can prove.
But it's a good start, and hopefully the AHA's example will be followed by other organizations and other conference organizers, etc. There was
That seems to be your thing now, to sort of stop conferences. I mean, you hate the MythCon thing, you hate the VidCon thing, and you even stopped your own fucking thing. What was that called? What was that? I can't remember. You had your own conference and you even fucked that up. So good job.
Was a line here from Roy Speckart, because he's the executive director of the AHA, and he has a quote in the statement where he says, "There was a time when non-theist organizations wouldn't appropriately address unethical conduct of their leaders, seeming to prioritize outspoken secularism above all else." And I had a chuckle with one of my buddies on Facebook about this.
Buddies? No, I don't think you have buddies. I don't buy it.
Where we said, yeah, there was a time, and it's a long past mist-shrouded era that today we call last week.
Oh, look at this guy laugh at his own jokes. Oh, I threw up in my mouth.
This isn't, hopefully this is the turning of the page. And to be fair, Speckert goes on in his statement to express some optimism and say, I hope that some progress is apparent and some progress is being made, and we are turning that page, and non-theist organizations will not behave this way anymore. They will wake up and they will realize that they have been derelict in their responsibilities, and this will be a moment for real change going forward. So, and I hope that's true, because
what do you mean real change? What are you talking about? Get to the fucking point.
Because you can't ignore the fact that things, especially in this realm, in the way that women are treated in skeptical atheist circles, in the tolerance for harassers and abusers and bigots and various other agents of ignorance and intolerance, they have been excused and welcomed and protected because, as Speckert says in his statement, secularism, outspoken secularism, was valued above all else. People knew Lawrence Krauss was a dick and a
People knew Lawrence Krauss was a dick? Really? And even if that's true, so what? I'm a dick. So what?
A creep, and possibly far, far worse, a harasser, an abuser, an assaulter, perhaps even.
Assaulter? Perhaps even? What? You're just throwing this shit out there like... throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. What the fuck is going on? Oh, you are such a fucking moron.
People knew this about him. Lots of people knew this about him. But he...
Who? I mean, the only thing that matters is did he do anything illegal? And if he did, why didn't you report him if you actually knew about it?
He was still welcomed. He was still invited. He was still put up on a pedestal as one of our thought leaders, as an example of science and secularism and atheism and humanism, because he was good at that, because he could give a good speech, because he had impressive credentials, because he was funny and charming and a good representative. And his personal life and the fact that he was known to be a harasser and perhaps...
Known to be... Again, I ask you, if he was known, then why didn't you report him? What are you talking about? You're just painting yourself into a corner right now.
Perhaps even far worse when it came to women, was ignored, was just brushed aside. And I think it's a damn shame that it took this long and that it took embarrassing mainstream coverage for this to happen. Because
embarrassing BuzzFeed coverage, you mean, which is not really... that believable. I mean, there's like, dare I say, a spectrum of believability, and BuzzFeed is right at the bottom, okay?
Because this is not a new problem, and there have been plenty of people within the community that have been talking about this for years, and virtually nothing has been done. So it's a shame that it's...
Yeah, virtually nothing has been done about someone who has not been convicted of anything and who has not been known to be any of the things you say he's been known to be. So, fuck you.
Took BuzzFeed to shine a light on it for something to get done, but at least something is hopefully getting done. Now, of course, not all of the responses within the secular, atheist, skeptical circle to Krauss have been as encouraging as the AHA's. I have seen a lot of people in comments on my videos. I've seen a lot of
comments on your videos. Oh my God, you moderate everything and you delete everything. What do you mean? Are you talking about those comments that get hidden and then you delete, or the comments that you actually approve, or what are you talking about?
People on Twitter running to Krauss's defense.
Of course you're running to someone's defense when they're innocent, which someone is by definition until proven guilty in a court of law.
Especially after he released his statement, his response, which was just deny, deny, deny. BuzzFeed is out to get me. BuzzFeed is out to get us. Is out to...
BuzzFeed is out to get everyone. Pretty much. I mean, it's not untrue.
You know, harm the atheist movement.
The atheist movement. Can we get like some echo quotes on that or something?
There are a lot of people giving a lot of responses, and I want to cover a few of those responses, the ones that I have been seeing most often from the greatest number of people. And the first one of those is, what about due process? What the hell ever happened to due process?
Yeah, whatever happened to that? Let's hear your thing about that.
And this is a topic that a lot of other people have already talked about. We talked about it when I had Manette Richards on for a hangout last week.
Who?
Where we spent most of our hour-and-a-half conversation talking about Krauss and the larger issues surrounding the Krauss story. And one of the things that was brought up was...
The funny thing is that I can fucking bet real serious money on he's going to say at the end of this video that he doesn't give a shit about Krauss or something, because that's usually what it says at the end of a video about anything. And yet he's made, like, I think this is his third video on this subject, and he had a hour-and-a-half hangout about it. Yeah, you don't care at all, buddy. Sure.
The difference between legal due process and coming to a reasonable conclusion apart from...
Oh, there we go. Atheist movement, echo codes. There we go.
A legal verdict, and how most forms of sexual harassment are not criminal, but because they are not criminal, that does not mean that they are therefore acceptable. And
listen, we don't need fucking codes of conduct and shit like that. We have the law. Either it's legal or it's illegal. The simple as that. So fuck your moral fucking judgments, whatever. Fuck off.
No one ever said that the Me Too movement or the Time's Up movement were...
Time's Up movement?
Were dedicated...
The fuck was that?
Entirely to criminal assault. It covers all kinds of behavior that...
Well, that's true. They do. And that's the problem, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you have some girl talking about how she was raped by fucking 10 people, and it was a horrific experience, which I'm sure it was, and absolutely illegal and should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And then on the other hand, you have some girl in the same context saying that, well, someone wolf whistled at me. Like, what? The fuck are you talking about? Shut up. That's not illegal.
Is unacceptable, and while there are certainly distinctions being made,
moist lip Steve. Good comment there.
Contrary to what Sam Harris thinks, nobody has ever said that the only people who should get in trouble are people who have committed criminal assault. Much of what Krauss is...
What? Did I miss something? Did he say that people who've not committed criminal things should also get in trouble? Ah, fuck it. Let's just go ahead.
Accused of would not rise to the level of criminal assault. Doesn't mean that it's appropriate. So if a person isn't accused of committing criminal assault, if a person is accused of being inappropriate, of being a harasser, of being an abuser, but not to the level that they could be criminally charged and perhaps sentenced and fined or sent to prison for it, then why are we insisting on a legal standard of...
Because there's a legal standard for proof, you fuckhead. Otherwise, it's just gossip. Do you not understand this? This is why we have standards for proof. We have trials and lawyers and judges and prosecutors to do our damn well best to try to figure out the actual truth and to give everyone a fair chance. You're just saying, well, BuzzFeed said so fuck, it's got to be true. Let's just ban this guy from everything. And I'm sure if you had the power, you would actually kill him. But thankfully, you don't have that power.
Of innocent until proven guilty. And is that a standard that we really apply consistently in our lives? Or is that just an excuse that people are making because they don't want to reach the obvious conclusion that Lawrence Krauss did this shit and that he's a blemish on the community and that he is but one of many such people in our midst?
Like I said, everyone knows you're a harasser, right? It's well known. Right? What are you going to do about it? I've heard it. I've heard it several times. So can I just do whatever I want with you now? No, I can't, because you haven't been proven guilty in a court of law. And I'm not an idiot like you. So I'm not going to actually do anything about that. I don't care when people say that. It's funny to hear, obviously, but you haven't been proven guilty of anything. So in that regard, you're fine. Wouldn't you like that to be afforded to you in the future as well? Because obviously the Me Too movement is coming for you too. So it should be kind of the You Too movement
that we have knowingly protected all these years. Because that's a really, really damning thing to admit. It's a thing that we must admit because it's a truth. It's one of the great unspoken truths about the atheist community that we have to reconcile ourselves with and have to do something about if we hope to be of some use in this world. But it's a difficult thing to face. So instead of facing it, people are hiding and they're coming up with excuses and they're saying things like, what about due?
What do you mean a difficult thing to face? If Lawrence Krauss was convicted of rape or whatever you're accusing him of, I wouldn't have any problem condemning him. Well, okay, you know, he's a fucking rapist. Go to fucking jail and get raped by some other dude in there. I don't care. If he's guilty, fine. But you're not actually doing that. You're asking people to condemn him before there's any proof.
Process. And related to that, well, I'm a skeptic.
Here we go. Here's the skeptic everyone's talking about. Here's the skeptic, Steve Shives.
I'm not a judge. It's not for me to decide whether or not Lawrence Krauss did this. I can acknowledge that he has been accused, and I can also acknowledge that he is denying it. So there.
Right. So how are you going to counter this argument? This will be interesting.
Therefore, it's not for me to conclude one way or the other. What unbelievable horseshit that.
I can't believe that came out of his mouth. You can't be this funny and this stupid at the same time. That's not fair. Oh my God. That did come out of his mouth, didn't it? What unbelievable horseshit. Yeah, fuck due process. Holy shit, man. Did you guys hear that? Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
That is. Thomas Smith came up with a really good analogy for why that way of thinking is total horseshit on.
Yeah, it's total horseshit. Our whole justice system is just total horseshit. You're total horseshit.
An episode of his podcast, Serious Inquiries Only, last week, where he dealt with this.
Who the fuck is that guy? I gotta look this guy up. Maybe he's just as funny as this idiot.
Problem. He dealt with the Krauss response after previously devoting an episode to the allegations. And Thomas said, if you're an employer and someone interviews for a job at your firm and you call around to check their references and everybody you talk to, or almost everybody you talk to, warns you not to hire that person, are you going to just ignore them and say, well, it's their word against his? Are you going to give no weight to their testimony at all?
What are you talking about? No one's calling up people asking like, yeah, should I hire Lawrence Krauss? And if they did, they'd probably say, yeah, he's a really hard worker and he's a good guy. I'm sure he didn't actually do these things, and until he's been proven guilty, I'm going to assume he's innocent as per the principle of the law. And anyone who is small-minded enough to just sabotage his shit, well, I mean, this is just such a stupid argument, because we all know that if people were actually called up and asked about Steve Krauss, they would get positive reviews. So fuck this analogy. Fuck off.
Or are you going to take that in and say, gee, he gave me 4 references, 3 of them flat out told me not to hire him?
Yeah, that, like I said, that's not going to happen. So bad analogy.
And they had some pretty specific, serious allegations to make against him that don't rise to criminality, but sound like the kind of things I wouldn't want to have around the office. Are you going to hire that person? Are you going to say, well, it's not really for me to judge?
Like I said, what a stupid analogy. That is not something that will happen, because I'm sure he's got a ton of people who has positive experiences of him. You don't get to that level of amazing fame that he has. And if you're just a total fucking asshole, I don't understand how this thing works in your head.
It's not for me to come to a conclusion. He seems like a nice guy. He says he didn't do any of these things. These people say he did. Therefore, what can I do? I'm powerless. I must remain agnostic about this.
Nice word, agnostic. No, you must assume that someone is innocent until proven guilty.
I just find that a completely indefensible position.
Clean your room, bucko. Good comment.
And I refuse to believe that most people actually live their lives that way. I just don't think that is practically the case. And it's certainly not what skepticism is about. Skepticism does not mean withholding judgment, even when the conclusion is painfully obvious.
Oh, okay. So that's what skepticism means. It means just going with your guts. It's like being a cop from an 80s movie, huh? Like, I got a gut feeling, boy. Yeah, I know this guy's guilty. Yeah, but we don't have any proof. Yeah, well, 20 years of cop experience tell me that he's fucking guilty, all right? Okay, well, you're the senior partner in this cop movie, so I guess you're right. Is that what we're going with?
Skepticism means investigate. Look.
Yeah, but you're actively hindering that.
For good reasons. Look for evidence. Don't just jump to conclusions on bad evidence or based on your biases or your prejudices, but at the same time, when the evidence is there, when a credible...
There is no evidence.
Believable case has been made that one particular conclusion is far more likely than others.
It's not about far more likely. It's about beyond a reasonable doubt. Fuckhead.
then it's reasonable to come to that conclusion and to say, you know what, I think that's probably true. And in this case with Lawrence Krauss, I don't see how anyone else can come to any other conclusion unless they have an agenda, which is protecting Lawrence Krauss and
I bet that's exactly what they said when they burned the witches. I don't see how anyone could come to any other conclusion.
protecting the imaginary, fictitious good name of the atheist.
The fictitious God. What? How is this coming out of his mind?
Community, as a lot of people are brazenly doing. I don't see how you...
Cow anus lip Steve Shives. Wow, that's a good comment.
You can come to any other conclusion. It has nothing to do with due process. It has nothing to do with being a good skeptic and wanting to wait until all the evidence has come in.
You're the skeptic, so you tell me.
Which, in this case, would mean that you have to ignore all the evidence that has already come in. You have to pretend that the BuzzFeed article itself...
The BuzzFeed article. That's what he said right after evidence. Okay. The evidence. The BuzzFeed article. Yep.
doesn't brim over with evidence. You have to just pretend that that doesn't count. That's
Yeah, we don't have to pretend that doesn't count because it doesn't count.
another common response I've seen, which Krauss himself used quite blatantly in his response. Oh, it's BuzzFeed. Who are you going to believe? BuzzFeed?
That's a good point. I mean, that's a really good point. You know, but then again, he's the smart guy. He's the fucking scientist. So why wouldn't he say something smart?
If that article had been written by another outlet, if that article that was published in BuzzFeed had been printed word for word in the New York Times or the Washington Post,
it probably would have been bullshit too, but go ahead.
would that make it more credible?
No.
The fact that it was published by BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed has a certain reputation for publishing clickbait, which is not entirely undeserved, that means nothing.
You're admitting to this? And you're still doubling down? Okay.
That has nothing to say about the validity of the charges made in the article.
Really?
Because BuzzFeed is a very bad defense of Lawrence Krauss. But then again, there are no good defenses.
Sure there are. What are you talking about? The best defense is he has not been convicted of any crime. He has not even been indicted of any crime.
Of Lawrence Krauss, because the case against him is overwhelming. But there's another attempt to defend him that I have seen from people, and that is from the people who acknowledge that the case against Krauss is so overwhelming that it can't reasonably be denied. But
okay, why isn't he in court then? Why has he not been incarcerated? What's going on with your head? There's something wrong. There's like a part missing or something.
instead of denying that Krauss did the things that he is charged with doing in the BuzzFeed article, they simply adopt the position that what Krauss did was not that bad. That, yeah, he did all that stuff, but he didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of that. I've seen people saying, well, if the only thing he's being charged with is trying to get laid, then check back with me when you find evidence that he's done something bad.
Okay, so how are you going to counter this argument then? Because that's also a good argument.
So sexual harassment is fine. I mean, come on, the guy's just trying to get laid.
Well, you haven't said anything about what you think he's done. Sexual harassment can be fucking anything nowadays. I don't know. Did he do the wolf whistling? I mean, what are you talking about?
What's a guy supposed to do? He was just, come on, he's an awkward, nerdy science guy. Maybe he can't read people's signals. Maybe he gets a little overexcited when he's in the company of women.
You mean like you?
He's not used to all this attention. He's been a famous physicist for 20 years. He's been coming and going at conferences where he's treated like royalty for quite a while now. His level of fame that he has attained, and as others have pointed out, he's not a household name. He's not super famous in the broader world, but within the scientific and skeptical atheist community, he's one of the most well-known people there is. And he's been accustomed to that level of attention and reverence given to him for quite a while now. So you can't
What are you trying to get at here?
really chalk it up to, oh, the guy, he's poor, he's just an awkward nerd, he doesn't know how to be around people. He's had enough time, don't you think?
Are you fucking serious? That's what you're going with? Really? Have you ever heard about people being autistic? You know, and a good portion of people who are really good at one thing, like scientists usually are, they're autistic. There's nothing wrong with that. Autism seems to be a great driver for excellence in certain areas. It does not, however, make you all that great with human interaction. And I'd like to ask you if you're suggesting that people can just get over it. Yeah, just get over your fucking autism. You've had like 20 years now. Why aren't you over your fucking autism? Right? I don't know if he's autistic, but, you know, a lot of scientists are. It could be. It wouldn't surprise me. And for you to say that, wouldn't that be like, what do you call it? It kind of escapes my mind right now. What is it you usually say? Ableism, right? Well, checkmate.
To make the adjustment, he's had enough time to figure out how he's supposed to be around people, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. I don't really think that's a good excuse. And that ignores the fact that the first charge made against him in the BuzzFeed article is throwing a woman onto a bed, climbing on top of her, and attempting to take her pants off.
Okay, prove it.
Attempting to force himself on a woman sexually is...
Well, that's rape. So why is he not in jail?
that okay because dude's just trying to get laid? Hey, come on, what's he supposed to do? How's he ever going to have sex with anybody if he doesn't throw women onto beds, climb on top of them, and attempt to forcibly undress them?
Well, I mean, I've seen his response to that, and that doesn't sound anything like what you're describing. So, fuck you. The only thing we have is a court of law. So if you think he should be thrown in jail, then you should fucking report him. I don't think you can, though, because it probably has to be reported by the actual person. So there we are.
Guy's just trying to get laid, right?
Just try to get laid,
Do you
right?
hear yourselves when you say these things, or when you type them into your keyboard or into your phone? Do you have any comprehension of the things you're saying?
Do you? Seriously. Do you have any comprehension of what you're saying when you're asking people to just abandon due process while laughing at the same time at it? Like it's a stupid thing, like due process is a stupid thing? I mean, obviously, none of us know exactly if he's innocent or not. But until he is proven guilty, he is considered innocent according to the law. And I'm going to go with that because that is how our justice system works.
Oh, sure, Krauss did all that stuff, but I mean, come on.
What do you mean he did that? You don't know that.
Boys will be boys, right?
Oh, fuck you.
And then, of course, there are the people, including Krauss himself, again, who insist that the accusers and their various corroborating witnesses are all just making these things up maliciously. They're just making these things up maliciously.
Yeah, because that's never happened to a famous person. That just never happens.
To harm Lawrence Krauss, because that's just what happens when you get famous. Krauss
Yeah, there you go.
himself says that. He's quoted as saying that in the BuzzFeed article. Hey, I'm a famous guy. This is what happens to famous people. It requires no further explanation.
Yes, that happens to every famous person. Are you retarded?
They just do it because people are famous.
Yes.
And I guess it makes sense because we all know how well treated women who accuse men who are more powerful than they are of sexual abuses. We all know how well treated they are. Why we venerate our sexual abuse victims in this country, don't we? We don't.
Yeah, I know you're saying this sarcastically, but yeah, that may have been true in the past, but right now, there's nothing better than a victimhood card right now. That's just a checkmate move right there. So that is not a valid argument.
Subject them to cruelty and doubt and derision and gaslighting. We don't try to demean them and assassinate their character and undermine their integrity and undermine the validity of their stories. No. We treat them with great respect, don't we?
Yeah. You got your entire mainstream media with you there. That is a scary machine marching right there beside you. Really, really quite scary.
Most of the people who are making that argument, who are saying that women are just doing these things to get back at Lawrence Krauss for some reason, or to bring him down, or to make themselves famous.
Yeah, that's never happened, right? There's no such thing as a gold digger. No. And crazy people just latching on to famous people. That's never happened. No, never.
To get attention for themselves. Most of the people who make that argument have no idea who Allison Smith is. They've never heard her name. Allison Smith is the woman who accused, and still accuses, Michael Shermer of raping her.
And this has got what to do with what?
And this ties into another thing that Krauss said in his article, in his response to the article, rather, and that other people have been parroting and saying on their own for years. This idea that, well, the statement that the atheist and skeptical community has a problem with sexism and misogyny, among other problems, that's overstated. Seth Andrews beats that drum a lot, and fuck him.
Oh, fuck him. That's your go-to move, isn't it? That's what you say about everyone. Is there anyone left in your life right now? I mean, now you've even started accusing or, telling fuck off to Matt Dillahunty, who's like, I thought he was like the most obvious person on your side ever. And apparently he is persona non grata in your little sphere as well. So I don't know who's left. It's just you and your stuffed animals, I guess.
Because he should know better. Oh, it's just a few bad apples. It shouldn't be used to tarnish the whole movement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, there are some atheists who are sexist and misogynist. There are some. But they don't really count. There's just a few people. The overall movement is just fine.
What movement?
We shouldn't concern ourselves, and we shouldn't spend any time talking about it. And we shouldn't dare suggest that people with popular podcasts spend time talking about it and educating their audiences and giving voice to the various people who are trying to talk about these things. No. That's just a waste of time. Hey, what's that over there? And how do you think it feels to Alice Smith or to the many, many other women who have similar stories?
Oh, okay. That's kind of funny. You couldn't even remember her name. You're such a virtuous man, aren't you?
To have told their stories in many cases, to have told their stories multiple times over a course of years.
It's not about telling your story, it's about proving the story.
And to have.
And besides, a story is a story. You should have chosen a better word for that.
People like Seth Andrews and Matt Dillahunty, or until recently, the leaders of major skeptical organizations and organizers of major conferences. Just ignore them.
Skeptical organizations. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of skeptics out there. Who are these skeptics?
Just act like they're not saying anything. Just turn their backs. And not only that, they continue to treat the men who are accused as though nothing happened. Lord.
Well, unless you have proof, nothing did happen. You cannot throw people in jail on accusations alone. What the fuck? this guy, he is like, he really wants to instigate like a some sort of Soviet dictatorship or something. I don't understand this guy at all.
Lawrence Krauss was a known entity for years, was treated like a celebrity in atheist circles. Michael Shermer, for years, even before Krauss in many cases. I knew about Shermer before I knew about Krauss. Still gets...
Okay. I don't know anything about this Shermer stuff, but okay. Did you do anything? Or did you also just sit there on your ass? Where are you going with this?
Invited, still gives talks, still gets treated as a reputable source, as someone with an opinion who matters.
Okay. Are we talking about Shermer or Krauss now? What are you talking about?
In fact, Matt Dillahunty was going to appear on stage with him in Austin until people started to notice that Matt Dillahunty sure was hanging around with a lot of famous accused rapists. And then the
accused rapists. Okay. See how you shift the goalpost there. We started out with, well, maybe what he did wasn't illegal, but it sure wasn't appropriate. And now it's a bunch of accused rapists. The hyperbole you just spew out without any consideration is just mind-boggling.
Heat got a little too high, then he decided, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Not because he had a problem appearing on stage or appearing at events alongside accused.
Yeah, but that still didn't save him from your wrath, did it? Not that your wrath matters because you're a fucking paper tiger, but all right.
Rapists, because clearly he had no problem with that. But people were just starting to notice and give him a little too much shit about it. So he decided maybe I should back. Maybe now if this is going to hurt my career, then maybe I should stop. That's the kind of integrity we need in the secular community.
Well, apparently the integrity we need, according to you, is for people to just accuse people and then they just go away. Well, someone said something bad about that guy. Well, you know, he went away. Where did he go? I don't know. Re-education camp, I guess. That's what you want, right?
People who will stick their neck out for nobody. But when it becomes a little too damaging to their reputation to consort with accused rapists and sexual harassers.
Accused rapists and sexual harassers. Yeah. What happened to that thing in the beginning where he was just someone who did something inappropriate? It gets worse as you retell the story over and over in this video. Get a hold of yourself, man.
Then they'll say, okay, I'm out. Thanks a lot. What great leadership. What great skepticism.
Ooh, that's a nice freeze frame there. Look at that. I just had to do that. Sorry.
Boy, I sure am glad that I'm on this side and not with those terrible religious people with all their corrupt, toxic morality.
Okay, now we've come full circle. The atheist is now defending Christianity. Well, not Christianity, but religion over atheism. I don't know about you, but a guy who just folds his own principles like that is not a guy I trust. All right? You want to be an atheist, then fucking stand up for it. And don't mix in some people into that. That's got nothing to do with it. Fucking go on.
We're so much better than they are over here on this side, aren't we? How do you think it feels to be someone like Alice Smith or Melody Hensley or one of the numerous other women?
Melody Hensley? Really? The I got PSD from Twitter girl? That's what you got? Oh, this video just gets worse and worse. Jesus Christ.
Who have spoken out about things like this to be ignored and to have the men who...
Ignored? What are you talking about? You have just spent this entire video talking about the articles written about this and all the people being pissed off, and now it's ignored? Make up your fucking mind.
Assaulted them continue to be praised and celebrated by virtually the entire community. Do you think they think there might be a problem with sexism and misogyny in the atheist community?
I don't know. That's an entirely different thing, isn't it? Why are you talking about that? Misogyny is a completely different thing. It's got nothing to do with fucking rape. What are you talking about? People can be, I'm sure there are misogynists out there, and they're not automatically rapists, so Jesus.
When we ignore the testimony of dozens of women who make very serious charges against...
It doesn't matter if they make charges unless they make it to a fucking court.
...against men, but we continue to treat the men who are charged...
They're not charged. They are accused.
...like royalty? You think that might indicate a certain level of sexism that is pervasive in our community, that isn't just a few bad apples, but is something that harms everyone in this community and should be acknowledged and dealt with? You think maybe that might be something we could look at? You think maybe if you have a platform in this community, especially if you have a career, if your bills are paid because you're supported by people in this community, that maybe you have some essential...
What is this community you're talking about? Krause is just doing this because he enjoys it. He's like, he goes to skeptics conference or whatever you guys call yourselves because, you know, he likes it. That's not his living. His living is being a fucking astrophysicist. What are you talking about?
Responsibility to shed light on this, to be on the right side of this, to get off the fucking fence.
The fucking fence is go to the police if you have a serious charge. If you don't have anything that is worthy of the police attention that it seeks, then shut the fuck up.
And say what to many people has been obvious for years. Or are you just going to, as...
It's been obvious for years. Okay. Again, I ask you, why haven't you gone to the fucking police?
Thomas Smith said during his excellent podcast on this subject, are you just going to keep seeing which way the wind blows? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's definitely turning against Krause now, so now I'm going to come out and say I believe the accusers, and I'm going to cut all ties.
Yeah, because that's how justice works, you idiot. Doesn't matter what the wind blows. You still haven't reported anything to the police, and therefore everything you say is irrelevant.
With Lawrence Krause. Oh, they're turning against Shermer now. Okay, now it's safe to come out and say that I think Michael Shermer is a terrible guy. Yeah, it's safe for me now.
It's not safe or unsafe. It's just a matter of is he or isn't he? And until he's proven guilty, he's not.
When Sam Harris appeared on stage with Matt Dillahunty recently in Phoenix, Arizona, at an event that was originally also to have included Lawrence Krause before the BuzzFeed article was published, Harris said that, you know, it's his instinct to believe accusers when things like this happen. It's important, he said. It's important to believe women when they make these sorts of charges.
Okay. Why? Do you believe men when they make charges, or are men just liars? Where are you going with this? I mean, have you even thought this through?
But then he spent most of his time addressing that issue, talking about how many red flags there were in the BuzzFeed article and how many indications of bad faith on the part of the reporters there were.
Bad faith on the part of the reporters of BuzzFeed? No, can't never happen.
And how it's very serious, this subject, very serious, because their colleague, Lawrence Krauss, was under assault, and his reputation was at risk. I should probably remind you at this point, remember a few years ago when a reporter asked Sam Harris about sexism, the lack of women's representation in the atheist community, and grilled him just a little bit on the subject, and then after he talked to her, he posted this incredibly lengthy, tedious, self-absolving blog post titled, "I'm not the sexist pig you're looking for"?
No, don't remember that. But do go on.
Does that sound like someone who's not a sexist pig?
Oh my God! Jesus Christ! This guy, Jesus Christ! The things that just fly out of his mouth. Like, if you defend yourself, you're even more guilty. Does that sound like the thing that would come out of a non-sexist guy? What? If you defend yourself, you're even more guilty. Oh, yeah, isn't that exactly what they said about the witches? Didn't they just, like throw them into the lake or something, and if they died, they were innocent? Wasn't that the thing? Oh my God, you're such a fuckhead.
Or who is not contributing to a culture of sexism and misogyny and erasure of women in his community.
Erasure? That's a blast from the past.
And he gives a token statement of, oh yeah, it's very important to believe accusers when something like this happens. And then he makes it absolutely crystal clear that his real concern is the reputation of his man friend who has been accused.
His man friend. He's not just mansplaining. He's got a man friend. For some reason, that reminded me of Stargate, because there's an episode where Jack O'Neill says the exact same thing about some Gould. Like, how does she make babies without, like a man friend? Anyway, move on.
We have to take this seriously, not because women have been assaulted and harassed for years. No, not because of that. Because our colleague's reputation is at risk. That's why he's not here, by the way, Sam Harris told the audience there. That's why he's not here, because if he had been here, then he would have been forced to respond to these allegations, and we wouldn't have been able to talk about science tonight, and that wouldn't have been fair. But it's important.
Okay, missed the pause game there. Fucking shit. It always scrolls up when I press pause. And then I forgot what I was going to say. So moving on.
To believe the accusers. It has
I missed it again.
to be more than just getting rid of the Lawrence Krauses.
The Lawrence Krauss, is that like a noun now? Let's just... A Lawrence Krauss is a rapist. Is that what we're going with now?
Because the people who propped him up have to be held accountable too.
Oh, the science guys, the universities who are thrilled having him there, just doing research on astrophysics and all that. Yeah, those guys, they're terrible, terrible people for wanting to solve the mysteries of the universe and all that. Fuck those guys, right?
That's the really pervasive problem. That's why the Lawrence Krauses and the Michael Shermers have been allowed to exist and to prosper.
Allowed to exist. Suck on that. I mean, if you disallow someone to exist, that means they die. Idiot.
In the first place. Because they had people willing to prop them up, willing to stand in front of them, willing to form walls of silence around them when these accusations cropped up from time to time in the past. That must stop as well. And
yeah, Okay. You can stop it right now by going to the police. How many times do I have to tell people like this that same thing? Go to the police if they've done something illegal. If they have not done something illegal, then shut the fuck up.
People with platforms, with microphones, with large audiences who willfully ignore charges made like the ones made against Krause because they would rather associate themselves with the famous guy. They'd rather try to raise their own profile and help their own career.
Why do you scroll up like that, you fucking browser? Well, you just said before that he wasn't all that famous, so which is it?
By associating with the famous guy, and they don't want to risk
Now he's famous.
alienating their audiences or burning their bridges with Lawrence Krause or Michael Shermer or who else.
Yeah, but, you know, you burn your bridges all over the place with everyone, so you're not really the guy to talk about that kind of stuff.
They'd rather have the audience. They'd rather have the prestige of having their face on a fucking poster or being able to say, I stood on a stage and participated in an event with Lawrence Krause, the great physicist, with Michael Shermer, the publisher of Skeptic magazine. They'd rather...
Really? Oh, okay, well, maybe there are people like that, but I don't know any of them.
rather be able to do that than do the right thing and say, you know what, maybe this will hurt my career. Maybe this is something that will diminish my standing in this community given the state of things. But you know what? Fuck that guy.
There we go. Fuck that guy. The go-to move of Steve Shives. Is there any video at this point, like recently, where he doesn't end the video that way? Unless he's like doing some fucking stuffy bullshit stuffed animal video. It's always like he works himself up to a frenzy and then it's like, yeah, well, fuck that guy. This guy can go straight to hell. I wouldn't even piss on him if he was on fire. And by the way, that is an actual quote from the previous video he did on Krause. That he said that. He said he wouldn't even piss on him if he was on fire. That is like, I don't know, that's just, that goes way beyond. That's the level of hatred this guy has. People talk about hate speech, and I certainly don't want him to be banned or taken offline or anything. You know, it gives me too much joy to be able to watch this train wreck. So please do not report him or do anything like that. It's just, but in all objectivity, this guy is a real hate preacher, isn't he? Right? Like I said, I enjoy watching the train wreck, but yeah, I think if there was ever a hate preacher, this is the face. Remember this face. This is the face of hatred.
I do believe those women. I do take what they say seriously, and I am going to not just say that, but demonstrate it. I'm going to cut all ties with this person. I'm going to refuse to appear at any conference that they're invited. At any conference that wants me, I'm going to insist that they don't have such people there. How about that? And maybe I will make a little bit less money. Maybe I will lose some subscribers or some listeners or what have you. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it that I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror, that I'll be able to say, at least I did the most basic, essential, right thing that I could do. And said, I'm not going to appear on stage with an alleged rapist.
Alleged. First of all, that's something you said, and you should think about that. And then there you go again with a rapist. I'm not aware of anyone saying that he's a fucking rapist. You started off by saying he's maybe a sexual harasser, and we've been steadily progressing towards rapists. So you really should go back and watch these things when you've calmed down and see how you sort of just ramp it up. This is ridiculous.
or sexual harasser. I'm certainly not going to do that while I say that I believe women out of the other side of my fucking mouth.
Yeah, because, you know, if it comes out of a woman's mouth, you'll believe it. You're like one of those little chicklets that just sits there with his mouth just wide open, just put things in there. Jesus. I don't know what you believe. I seriously think there's something has gone wrong inside your head. I hope that you will seek treatment at some point, because this is not healthy, dude. You got more hatred than the fucking Emperor in Star Wars. It's just hatred with you. And like I said, don't report him. Don't do anything. You know, we need this guy. He's an entertainment factor. So it's just sad and funny and sad and funny and sad and funny. So, well, moving on. There's not much left here.
That must stop just as much as the behavior of the Krauses and the Shermers. That must be condemned, and it must not be tolerated.
And there you go. It must not be tolerated. Is there anything this guy tolerates? Fucking hell. That is unbelievable. I can't believe we actually made it through this thing. That's pretty great. Oh, he is a lol cow, that's for sure. So anyway, this is an interesting experiment, going through a video in a live setting. Not sure how it went, or if that's a feasible thing to do or not. I don't really know how good I am at doing things live, really. This is the first time I've done a live video response, I guess. Usually I try to sit down and figure out something funny to say, so I'm sure it's not as funny as a normal video, but well, it's worth a try, checking out how things work and all that. So how you doing, chat? Everyone all right? People saying they enjoyed it and went all right? Good. Thank you. Thanks for the nightmares to come. Animate your logo. Magog will show you the way. I can animate the logo, dude. That is not a problem, but I'm happy to see Magog in here. How you doing, Magog? Steve Shives is a moronic wanker. That's a good word. That's one of the good words you Brits have contributed to the language, I think. Wanker. Steve Shives is torture. Yeah, Magog. You're partially right, because he's also, you know, entertainment. He's like a horror movie, I guess. There's like a comedy horror movie. It's both horrifying and entertaining and funny at the same time, right? Steve Shives is a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, fuck, if you actually started dreaming about him, that would be a nightmare. Jesus. Steve will give you AIDS. Be careful. Yeah, I'm not getting that close to him, so don't worry. And neither should you, obviously. That'd be horrible. Let's see. James Jones says, keep doing them. Takes practice. Yep. So, first time out. He's a cancer carrier. He gives it, never gets him himself. Oh, really? I think he's got a good amount of cancer going there. Magog says, so he's a train wreck? Yeah, at the very least, among other things. I'm looking up the BuzzFeed article. Any suggestions on how to settle my stomach afterwards? I don't know, like Alka-Seltzer or something? Or, nah, just go for whiskey. I'll do it. Those always moist lips. I know, right? It's like he's got some sort of thing where he's over lubricating his lips. I don't know. It's over producing saliva or something. I don't know. Weird. It ain't natural. No, it's not. Why don't you enable Super Chat? I don't know. I had it enabled, but I guess they've taken it away because this channel doesn't get any views, I guess. I thought it was there. Or I know it was because I've had streams on it before, so I guess I didn't pass enough views on this channel to be able to keep it or something. So, I guess that's just one more way that YouTube is fucking us. But it's good that you pointed that out. I didn't even know that. Just figured that this was just a small stream. I never really got much super chats on this channel. It's just very, very, very small channel. But that's interesting to know. So I guess there's some rule for that as well. His face, Magog says his face looks like it took too many dick poundings. All sorts of poundings, I think. Holy shit. I kept waiting for his mouth to prolapse. Isn't it weird that every time you freeze Steve Jobs' face randomly, either looks like he's holding a fart or about to suck, or he smelled a bad fart? Yeah. It's an amazing guy to freeze frame because you can pretty much do it at any time and he'll come up with some sort of really awkward facial contortion. It's amazing. He's an amazing freeze frame artist. Makes me sad for my unborn child, says Magog. Okay, you lost me. What makes you sad? But your unborn child. I hope you're not having your unborn child with Steve. Because that would be like you'd give birth to fucking Kylo Ren or something. It's not going to end well. Be like an evil emo kid. Steve Shive facial roulette. let's play facial roulette with Steve Shives. Excellent. Steve Shives' dramatic pauses were cracking me up. Yeah, I know. It's like he's just really like taking a pregnant pause and expecting you to mull over his words. Just think about that, you shitlord, you. Did you hear what I say? Now you sit there and you think about that. Oh yeah. I'm thinking about you, all right? Thinking about my fist doing some sexual things with, you know, your face. That's horrifying, says Magog. I don't know which part is horrifying. You mean the fact that your kid will be Kylo Ren? Wonder how much delay you get. How long does it take when I say something until you hear it? Like, someone press 1 right now. Just press 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Let me see. Right. Okay. That's about 23 seconds. It's always weird that that's so long because I don't get why it's so long, like 23 seconds. Because you can have obviously an instantaneous conversation with someone. You can talk with someone on the fucking other side of the planet and it's in real time. But for this stuff, it's just 23-second delay. That's weird. I know that's not unusual. Someone says it's normally 15 to 20 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I know that's the way it is, but it's just weird because it doesn't really have to be, obviously. But that's the way it is. Let's see here. Say Brav asks, are things well with you IRL? Yes, things are pretty good. Everything's good. Magog says, I'm going to start a channel called Undomed. It's about what's under Steve's hat. Oh, you mean like undomed? I guess. Under, call it Under the Dome. Yeah. Like that series, TV series. Under the Dome. Steve lactates soy milk. Good comment. Unzipped. Yeah. A good name. Has anyone seen Mr. Medeker's videos on Kurt Eichenwald? Yeah, I saw that. That Mr. Eichenwald seems like a well put together individual. Harlequin is sending hugs. So I'm still curious. Did you get banned for all time, or is this like a temporary thing? Will you get it back in a week or 12 hours or whatever? Magog is heading to bed. All right, dude. You sleep tight. Johnny Hellcat says, I know my family likes to get together for tentacle porns. Tentacle porn at all time, doesn't everyone's? Yeah, of course. That's completely normal behavior. Like, yeah, I'm just going to show my kids some tentacle porn. For fuck's sake. What are you even talking about? We're just looking at tentacle porn here. How would you dare to suggest there's anything weird about that? You shitlord? Harlequin says, I've been tempt banned too many times. Okay, so that means it's permanent. Wow, that sucks. You appealed, and you'll see how it goes. All right. What was it you did again? Did you say some horrible thing? Or what happened? Oh, okay. All right. I bet things will get really bad when we get closer to November. James Ridge says. Talking about the midterms or what? That's too bad, Harlequin. Hope you can appeal that and get it back. And if not, I hope you can create a new one or something. I don't know. Is there like a policy that you're not allowed to create a new one, or how does that work? Because people keep popping back. I thought there was like a ban on it, but everyone seems to just make a new account when they get banned. Okay, yeah, they ban your ISP. Huh. Interesting. So get a VPN then. You should have a VPN anyhow. There's a new drug for lesbians on the market to cure depression. It's called tricoxagon. Oh, okay. Oh, you got me. It looked really good that way. You know, I really tried to, okay, what the fuck is this? Gotta try to pronounce that like a medical thing. Good one. Yeah, there's a generic Viagra called Coxaflopin. Yep. Oh dear. That's a good one. All right. So, do you have any questions before I go? See if there's any good questions, or otherwise I'll head on out. Keeping that 23-second delay in mind. Is there a mask under the mask? I don't know if that's for me. I don't have a mask. What are you talking about? Let's see here. Suggestions. Are your DMs open? No, my DMs are not open. If you're talking about Twitter, you'll have to contact me on Twitter, because otherwise I get fucking stormed, and I already have a gazillion people since back in the day when I had them open. So I don't have them open right now. You'll just have to contact me and say you want to talk to me, and I'll get back in your DMs. That's no problem. I just don't want to be overwhelmed with people. That's why I don't have them open. But I'll get back to people who ask me to slide into their DMs. No problem. See here. Question: Is this an actual bug hunt, or did Colin see a roach? That's always a bug hunt. Yeah. She thought she heard illegal aliens and signed up. What advice would you give new people starting their own channel? Well, depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to make a living, I'd be like, don't count on it, basically, because that's very tough. Before the apocalypse, there was like a good chance of you making that, but do not expect to make a living off of it, because you'll probably not. At my size, I can't make a living off of this. I would have to be constantly pleading on for Patreons to be able to make a living off of this. So that's one thing. Another thing, the most important thing about a video is actually the audio quality. So make sure you get a good microphone. Doesn't have to be an expensive one, just a good one. You know, make sure you're not just recording in your, next to your fan from the computer. So that means don't use the computer's microphone, because there's probably a fan right next to it. Get a nice little microphone. Could just go to Best Buy or some shit and get $100 microphone type of thing, and have it away from stuff, because you know a lot of people just watch videos when like radio. They actually don't watch it; they listen to it. So make sure your videos are a pleasant listening experience. I think that's a thing that a lot of people forget. Other than that, just try to be yourself, and if you or if you're not being yourself, like if you're playing a character, just make it interesting. It's really hard to give advice, but just give it your best. Let's see here. Cool stream. Will you stream again soon? I don't know. Yeah, of course. Not sure when though. So not gonna commit to any specific times because I do have my day job to take care of. But it's nice because you can do some stuff like this, I guess. Because I mean, this is basically just something that I could turn on and do after I finished my day for my work for the day, and making a real video the way I do it. I agonize over those things for a long time. They take me at least 2 days to do when I do my regular videos because I just agonize over every fucking edit and all that stuff, and where to put the cut here, put the cut there, or should I say this or should I say that? And this is an interesting thing to do, just to do something and not have to spend all that time agonizing, I guess. Ryan Rawlings says, "You got the reference. My night is now complete." Was that the aliens one? That must have been the aliens one. Johnny Hellcat says, "I had my first live stream today. Just did it to kill time." All right. Well, there you go. Did it work out all right for you? Who do you think will win the struggle between commercial media and the new media and the new generation of media? That depends. If we're left to our own devices, sort of thing, and when I say us, I mean the population. I think new media will take over, but obviously there'll always be a place for old media, because you're not going to get great drama series. You're not going to see people on YouTube starting to create Netflix series and shit. So we're always going to have companies that produce quality entertainment, like real movies and real TV series and stuff like that. We can't just live off of YouTube videos. The other news media, though, yeah, they're not going to go away, obviously, but they could end up having to coexist with us. But on the other hand, the way things are going, it seems like they really want to legislate us out of being able to say anything. So if those guys win, we could just lose our freedom of speech altogether. It seems hard to imagine that in the U.S., but it's certainly not close. I mean, certainly not far off in the U.K. and countries like that. And if it happens there, maybe people will follow suit even in the U.S. It is in the Constitution, but it's still an amendment, so it's there is no guarantee that there couldn't be another amendment, right? That's why they call it an amendment. So I guess that answers that. Let's see. Some skeptics, whoever get butthurt, unpopular. Harlequin says some skeptics get butthurt that I'm popular. How many followers did you have? Hey, it's the elephant in the room. How you doing? Did you see who was in the WH Easter Bunny costume? I don't know what that is. Johnny Hellcat. So you had a good stream? All right. That's, streams are nice. It's a nice thing to be able to do. It's always good when you got people that you can riff off of and have fun with. Sam Kembo says this stream was the best part of my night. Really cheered me up. Well, I'm glad I could help. And thank you for saying that. Here, Swan Clippers says here in the UK, there is no free speech, just freedom to be offended. That is pretty much what I hear too. That is sad, but holy shit. Everyone, and it's not just that you're free to be offended, you're free to be offended on someone else's behalf, right? You can be offended on the behalf of some guy you don't even know, because that's what your cops do, right? They just sit there and like, well, this isn't really about me, but I'm offended by it, so I'm going to submit a police report to myself about this. Crazy shit. Corporate control over rights is how the U.S. operates these days. Did people read the Microsoft agreement? Yeah. I have not read the Microsoft agreement. I'm sure I have signed away my firstborn child and the right to my genes and any future intellectual property I might come up with or some shit. Whoever reads those things, there should be a fucking Senate hearing on that shit or something. Like, they keep changing them. Like, every fucking week you get an email message from one of the companies you deal with. Like, yeah, we've updated our terms of service. Okay, I didn't read the last one, asshole. It's fucking 50 pages long. And no one reads them. No one. Ever. I remember I actually read the Apple terms of service like 10 years ago or something. There was stuff in there about you're not allowed to use this thing for the creation of nuclear weapons. I'm like, come on. Really? Okay, I promise I will not create nuclear weapons with my iPod. Okay? We done? After that, I've never read one of those things ever again. Oh, Joseph Dunphy asks if you have any advice for a beginner who'd like to learn more about doing animations. Yeah, just YouTube videos, man. There's so many. Whatever you want to do in terms of editing or animation or whatever, there's a tutorial out there. Just go and watch the YouTube tutorials. There's a tutorial for everything. Free Press of Gulf City. Have you changed your name? Is that Free Press of Kekistan? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. He says, I think not creating nukes is already covered by law. Doesn't really need to be in Apple's terms of service. Exactly. That's what I thought. Like, okay, how come you haven't mentioned murder in your fucking terms of service? That's a bad thing, right? You're going to put that in your terms of service? You're not allowed to beat someone over the head with your iPod, okay? Okay. Right? You can't use your iPhone to shove it up someone's ass. Well, I guess you can, but if it's lethal, you can't. I mean, the stupid things they put in those fucking terms of service is just unbelievable. Free Press says yaw, so I guess that means he is Free Press of Kekistan. Why'd you change your name, dude? The Quacking Panda says, how old are you? I'm about the same age as Sargon. Anyway, how you been doing, Free Press of Kekistan, Gulf City? Murdering someone with an iPhone is alternative advertising. Well, don't they think that's subversive or something? Okay, so Free Press is working more with Magog Gasly and Gull City, so I guess that's why you changed your name. Okay. Okie dokie. If I murder someone with my iPhone 3, is that classified as a historical crime? Probably. I would like to add, here in jolly old England, you can be thrown in jail, fined, and given a criminal record for, are you ready? performing music in public. Magic. We're super close to that. What? A criminal record for performing music in public? I mean, I know fucking people performing music in the streets can be annoying, but a criminal record? Really? Isn't that like a misdemeanor or something? That is unbelievable. All right. That sucks, man. Well, anyway, I guess we should wrap this thing up. So, thank you very much for watching, and thanks for hanging out with me and just shooting the shit. Always good catching up with you guys and see what you're doing. And thanks for helping me out, checking out that everything was working with OBS and all that. So now I know I can do that. I get some free time, but not quite enough time to make a video. That's good to know, right? So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.